Hey guys, welcome to another ride in the Struggle Bus, where every wheel is an empty triangle. Today's bus ride is a little bit different than our others. I'm actually going to be playing against a student of mine today. He is a 7K on KGS, so a little bit stronger than the opponents that we typically play in our bus rides. Also, I'm going to be playing this game differently. He specifically asked to play to, kind of poke at his weaknesses a little bit. And so I'm still going to be playing basic moves, but I'm going to be playing a little more complicated than I normally do. So the game's going to be a little tougher to follow for our typical double-digit Q audience, but it still should be a very interesting game. But you are going to notice a marked difference in how I approach this game versus the other games that I played for this. Our opponent is very strong in Fuseki. His opening, which you're going to see in this game, is his opening is very strong, and handles himself very well there, and then tends to have some trouble in the middle game. So we'll see how the game ends up going. As per always, I'd like to thank our opponent for playing us today, though in this case, this is a student of mine, so thank you for continuing being a student, and hope he enjoys this as well. Thank you guys for watching our videos, and thank you to my Patrons for supporting this channel. So with that introduction out of the way, let's get into this hopefully exciting game. Okay, so here we go. We are white. We're going to be following the rules, but we're also going to be playing a little more firmly this game because my student has requested it. We want to poke at some weaknesses. So I'm not going to go crazy, but I am going to play this how I normally would play a game. So with him enclosing here, I'm just going to go approach his 4/4 stone. I like splitting up the sides. And now here, I'm just going to come back and play Q10. I don't like any of the variations where we slide in or attach. So I just been playing this here. I've been enjoying the 2-space pincer, and I know that he has trouble with pincers. But this is when I play league games and I play my own games. This is a move that I play frequently. It's difficult to answer, and it complicates the game. That's the reason I like this move. Is it complicates the game. So you guys get to see some pincer action, which I don't normally do in our bus ride games. So he is snooking, which is a perfectly fine approach to that. And in this situation, where we have to choose which way to block, and this one should be pretty easy because there's really not much for us to develop here with him having this corner enclosed and a third stone here. And here we've got the D12 stone. So extending this way and blocking and getting our strength facing our stone is pretty good. I'm going to just take the Hane variation here. We could extend to take Sente, but I'm just going to play this. Partially because he often messes up this Joseki a little bit, and so I'm curious to see what way he goes with it. So he should extend one more time. He should not play this Hane, so we will extend. Let's see if he Tanukis or if he takes this exchange. It looks like he is going to Tanuki here. And you're going to notice his Fuseki is clearly the strength of his game. He plays very strong in the opening, but then struggles a bit in the mid game. So I think that's likely where we're going to start seeing some difficult situations. But he very much holds his own at the beginning of the game. So he is taking this. This isn't a big mistake. It's just an exchange that we really don't need to take because we're going to play this and he's going to come back. And now we get to fix all of our cuts here. And now it's going to be tougher to reduce this later because we've got so much more strength and our stone's a little bit closer now. Okay, so he's attaching here, which is a very typical response. And so here we're just going to take this Hane. We'll get some strength here. And then we'll be able to develop off of this, hopefully. And just going to play E18 just as a shape move. We haven't gotten too much into shape in this series, But this is just a good way to get this nice and strong fairly quickly. So here we have to consider if we want to leave this stone alone and let him counter pincer, we can look at extending along the top here. And I think that's what I'm going to do. I usually like leaving this stone alone and just dealing with the fight that it comes with later. So I'm just going to play this knight's move, get a little bit ahead of the stone, develop the top a little bit, and see. He should probably shoulder hit at h16. Curious to see if that's what he does. He could also potentially come out f13, or if he goes bold, he could pincer. He could play something like d10 or c10, but it's going to be pretty tough up against this wall, so we'll see. We'll see what way he goes with it. Okay, so he plays this. This is a very strange move, playing a fourth line move when we already have a third line stone here that's very, very strong, and so far away from his stones over here. We can play something like m3, which will threaten to connect or run out, and he's too close to our strength here. I don't think we need to do anything to this right now. I think we can save that for later, but that's... I think this should have been K3 instead of K4 if this is where he wanted to go. But even then, it's too close to this strength. So anyway, where are we going to play here? I think we should probably do something with these two stones. We can slide now and then extend, and I think that's probably what I'll do. Though it is pretty nice to also take this from him. So let's start. I'm going to start by sliding, going after the corner. I'll see if he protects this. He can Tanuki from this because R17 and L17 are Miai. So he can play away here, but it's also acceptable to block. And this seems okay. He's pressuring this stone, is going to force us to shore this up. So the question is, do we want to make these exchanges to get this nice and strong? And I think we do. I think I'm just going to play here. This gets us, some more strength. It is a second line move, but that'll give us a nice base. It threatens to undercut. So that is why I decided to go that way. Remember, sometimes we have to break our rules, and this is an example of playing an early second line move that I think is okay. I also think Q8 could have been R8. Normally when you're approaching fourth line stones, I like doing it from the third line, because here technically I could have Tanuki'd this. It's tougher to Tanuki if you'd played R8 because the slide at S10 is pretty large. Okay, so he is playing the peep, and I'm not a big fan of this peep. It forces us to fix a weakness that we had, and I'm not sure what he's really getting out of this, because we can still jump in here. This doesn't stop us from doing that, and he certainly doesn't want to play S9 right here. So I don't think this was a good exchange. He could have left this alone, because later in the game R12 may have been a tough move for us to answer. But now with this here, not so much. And so yeah, him playing this kind of shows the awkwardness of K4, right? If he had played M3 instead of the K4, I don't think he'd be playing K4 right here. So just a little bit of awkwardness. I think I'm going to go take his corner, force him to extend this way. There's more points here, and I don't think he can let us get M17. So he does in fact take his base. So at this point, looking at this board, we've got a potentially weak group here. We've got a potentially weak stone here. So I think what I'm going to do is jump and get some more strength here, see if we can develop this while going after that group. So I'm going to play here to pressure this a little bit more and see if we can develop our potential here. And so, unsurprisingly, he plays this. So now, though, he's got these two stones that can kind of, they're not really connected. So we could look at playing something like this to keep them separated. We could look at this and then cutting whatever way he goes. And I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm just going to play here. And then however he tries to connect up, I'm going to cut through. Because if we surround these 3 stones, then a move like P18 becomes really large. It threatens to potentially kill his group. And then obviously if we are able to surround these 5 stones, it'll be difficult. And he Tanukis. I think that's a dangerous Tanuki. I think that's a dangerous Tanuki. This was a pretty threatening move. And so I'm going to follow up what the threat was, and I'm going to play here to fully separate his groups. This group was already plenty strong, so he didn't really need to extend. So now he's playing this to strengthen this group, which means that there's a weakness left with this group. So I'm just going to play here. It's a nice shape move that he wanted to get a good base, and it also helps solidify us a little bit more as well. So this was kind of a mutual point that we both wanted, and now really his only means of making this okay is by running out. So we can continue to chase, and while we're doing this, we're getting strength for these stones, and we can look at keeping these 2 groups separated. So I'm just going to apply some pressure to this group. He should probably let this stone go and make sure that this group is okay. But let's see what he does with it. And so he does. Good. He lets that go to make sure that this group gets out nice and safe. So at this point, I think we want to make sure that this area turns into something nice and big. We can look at playing this to kind of block this stone, and I think that's what we're going to do. I think we're just going to play here to make it so this stone can't just jump in. There's still plenty of room. Black can likely invade in here, but it'll be a little tricky. White does have some strength. We've got some forcing moves against this group that we can use to get further strength here. So this is a bit off, right? This group was already safe, and if it wasn't safe, then I would have played this move, right? I would have played a move to go attack this if I thought it was unsafe. And so I think this move is a little much, because I think his group was already okay. And so now we can reduce this. We can grow this. At this point, I think it's probably better to grow this. And so I'm going to just play this forcing move to get us a little bit more strength here. And then I think I'm going to play this. This helps, build our wall here. We're looking to solidify these points because this is a very large area. This also gives us a little more strength if we want to play something like N7, right? This might let us be able to dive in a little bit farther if we've got some strength here. So I suspect he's going to play something like N8, which is reasonable, but this area isn't going to be as large as this, and we still have some reductions that we can do. Okay, looks like he is looking to fight. I'm not sure this is the best place to do it. We only have one move here. We're obviously going to disconnect his stones, and I don't think the cut's going to work. If he cuts, we're just going to descend, and this stone's kind of in an awkward spot. Okay, so he is playing this peep first. I do like that if this works, right? This is a really bad exchange if this doesn't work. But it's a very forceful move, right? We're going to play here, but this is obviously a move I'm very happy to play. And I don't think this is going to work. I think white is too strong in here. We're just going to take this Hane to block him, and I'm not sure where he's going to be able to go. this really shows the fault of taking this exchange, this b4 exchange. If these two stones weren't on the board, black would have had a good, a better way to start this invasion. But having taken this exchange, white is too strong here, and that's the reason we don't like taking that exchange, is for situations like this. Okay, so he has played this Hane. This is a good tactic, because the onus is on us to stay nice and secure. In this situation, I think I'm just going to extend. We could look at connecting, but I think this is better. If he cuts here, then we can just push through and we'll be fine. So I'd rather get the extra liberty in this direction, stop him from getting more liberties. So I think he's going to have trouble getting two eyes in here. So as long as we stay nice and strong on the outside, then if we kill him locally, we'll be fine. If we leave too many weaknesses, then it's not going to be too great for us. So here I'm just going to take this Atari, and I'm going to extend here. We've got 5 liberties with this group, so this group isn't going to be in too much trouble. I want to go and reduce the liberties on this, so we're going to play here. Increase. This is a cross-cut fight, right? We each have 2 groups, so we want to identify our weakest group, make it stronger, identify his weakest group, and make it weaker. So in this case, our 2 stones here was the weakest group. These 3 stones are his weakest group. So we played a move to strengthen ours and weaken his. So here, he's taken this cut. We're just going to connect up here, keep this nice and solid. We could have looked at extending this way, but I think this is nice and safe. I think if we just want to stay safe, everything will be fine here. So he's still chugging along. I don't think this is going to work for him. So we're just going to take this Hane, reduce his liberties, as well as reducing his eye space. And so he cuts, but that is not going to work. We can just ladder the stone. And so that's all I'm going to do. And we will extend. He's got this cut that he needs to protect. And when he does that, we can just play something like this and block his only way out here. And so we will just do this. Take away any hope of him getting any eye space. This group here is already out, so he's not going to be able to surround this. And we can throw in right here to really reduce his liberties. So we should be fine. We will absolutely jump out, though. We don't want to get surrounded. We don't want to run out of liberties here. So we're just going to run towards our friendly stones, get some more liberties in case this turns into a liberty race, which it looks like it might with him blocking here. So I'm just going to start with this throw in to reduce the number of liberties that he has here. This is a nice sneaky method of reducing liberties for your opponents. If he captures, we get to play here in Atari, and he has to fill this liberty. And so now he'll only have 4 liberties, and our group has more than 4 liberties. So we should be all set. Going to play this here. We're threatening to surround these 2 stones, so he's going to be a little careful. So I'm doing this just to get more liberties here. So here, how do we want to handle this? I think we can just connect underneath, and so that is what we will do. We will just play here and connect our groups up. He cannot stop this from connecting. And depending on what he does, I'll either show you that now or I'll show you in the review how this connection works. Okay, so he is looking to peep here. We're going to play the shape move. We're not going to just connect. We are going to play a bamboo joint. Always thinking about shape when we play our moves. So now, taking a look at liberties, he has 4. If he forces us to connect, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we actually have 1 more liberty than he does. So we are all set for now. I'm just going to now just start playing kind of our forceful endgame moves. We're going to play this to threaten to come into his territory here. And this will also threaten to connect up to our stones. And so he plays this, which allows us to come in. And again, we already counted that we were ahead in liberties here. So we are able to ignore this because this does not remove any liberties from our group. So he threatens to cut, so we will connect. Okay, and now that he has removed a liberty, we are going to remove a liberty from him. So now he's got 3 and we've got 4. We will continue to stay ahead. Liberties are very important to keep track of. So he's going to play this. We're just going to play here. And he has to be a little careful because we still have this P8 stone that he never answered, which is going to cause a lot of destruction in his big area on this board. So he's going to be very mindful of that. He played some sensei moves that we had to answer, but we still have this this very looming threat. Okay, so he pushes out. We will just play this to protect our stone and connect up. Let's see if he fixes this. I'm not sure that this was in his best interest because now we've got this cut. But unfortunately now we can just come in. And so I think we are just going to jump here. The wedge will not work. And then we can play this, which connects and threatens to go capture these 3 stones. So this was, just a good way to stay connected. It's good shape. It threatens to push through. And now we're threatening to connect up with this stone, and his whole area is just going to crumble now. So he reduces a liberty, so we will do the same and reduce a liberty here. And we will go, looks like he is going to force us to capture, which is fine, though these were good co-threats that I don't know if we're going to end up getting a co, but if we do, those were good co-threats. Let's see, what else can we do to reduce? Maybe just capturing these 3 stones is the biggest we're going to get. So let's go do that. We'll go capture these 3 stones. And that is where our friend throws in the towel. But he played very, very well in the beginning. Again, he is a strong player in the opening. So let's take a look at the review of this game and see where he could have done better. Okay, so let's take a look at this one from the perspective of Black to see where things could have gone better. Like I said, he plays the opening strong. So all of these decisions are fine. I like the Tanuki here. This is all fine. The one thing that I would say is typically here, Black is Tanukiing from this. So in this situation, we can answer here. We could go press these stones. I would probably play here as Black and see how White wanted to handle this. This is fine to leave alone. White doesn't really have any forceful follow-ups. And the issue, as we saw in the game, is when Black plays here, it fixes all the Aji that's here and makes White much stronger, which became relevant later in the game as he tried to invade here. And we'll get into that a little bit as we get to that part of the game. So anyway, I would have played here or answered here, right? We could have answered this this pincer. Or, you know, we could have there's a number of things we could do. I don't like taking I don't like taking this exchange, but it's not a big deal. And then he does finish this up, and that's fine. And then I think the Tanuki is fine as well. Though I don't like this. This is a very bizarre placement considering that we have H3. If he wanted to play here, I think it's better just to take the base. If he wanted to come a little closer, he could, but we're so strong here that we can jump in, and this is you know, this is easy for us to handle. Basically, because of the H3 stone, there's with the H3 stone here and the P3 stone, there's nothing really to be had here. The potential here is very, very low because we've just got 2 third-line stones. And so, you know, the big potential on the board is obviously over here for white. And then potentially here. I think this is probably the biggest area on the board, and this is probably where I would have played as black. I know I pointed this out before, but I think this is just the move. Black probably answers, and then, or white rather, answers, and then black could look at playing the counter pincer here to break this up. He could look at playing the shoulder hit here, getting a little more strength, and then going here, just so, you know, this group isn't as weak and it's easier to press into. These are all options. But yeah, this one just seems a little off. And then so we went to take the corner, and so then he does follow it up. Though again, I like the third line move because if this gets ignored, there are better follow-ups versus here. You know, if white chose to ignore this, I'm not sure what black's follow-up is here. You know, the attach isn't too scary there, right? The follow-ups just aren't that great. With that said, I did respond. I did want to make this a little stronger, but I could have played away. And then we get this bad peep, and this is something that I do see frequently. Is you know, this is a single-digit Q mistake that I typically see, is seeing a peep and taking the peep. But, you know, I'm not sure that this is the time to be doing this, because later in the game, it's possible that this is the peep you want, right? Who knows, you know, what can happen in the later game, but it's possible that this is the stone we want because we want to come out this way. And if we play this peep right now, that eliminates that option. It fixes our weakness, right? And it doesn't really help black because we can still play in here or play the monkey jump. And again, black doesn't want to play this right now. This is too early to be playing this move. So anyway, so then he comes back here, which is another pretty small move. And again, just really highlights how awkward of a stone this is. At this point, I really think we need to start doing something on the left side. Black should feel pretty comfortable with these 5 stones here. That, you know, there's no trouble to be had here. Black will be fine. Black will be able to handle any threats that come in or any fights that start here because black outnumbers white stones. So again, I think I would probably look to play something like this and then come over here to split up white's large potential. It's worth noting that AI says that black is still very much in this game. This is a very close game. Again, he plays the opening very well. So, you know, I'm pointing out mistakes, but they're slight mistakes here. They aren't big things. This is probably the biggest mistake I've seen so far in the game is K4. And then here I would consider this another fairly large mistake. So we go take the corner. He makes a base. And we extend here. And from here on out, I think this is where things start getting a little tough for black because we are threatening these 4 stones. Black probably should have considered just taking a base here, getting his group nice and strong. And then, you know, it makes white a little bit stronger too. But I still think black can probably get away with a move like this. Perhaps starting with this peep. This would be a situation where where a peep would be pretty good, and then we could play something like this and maybe leverage off of this, and this stone will be tougher to contain. So this is a better use of cashing in on the Aji that these cuts have versus playing a move like R9. But anyway, he chose to run out, and we went and threatened to cut. And here I would have liked to have seen, again, either black go and take the base, or recognize that there's something here and come out. I probably still would have cut. That's what I was angling to do. But this is already tough enough for black, so it only gets tougher if you let white get another stone here. And I just don't think this was big enough. Again, this one of the big things to help improve when you're at this rank, again, he's a single digit Q player already, is focusing less on trying to cash in on all your points early and focus more on the strength of groups. And if you do that, the relative strength of your groups is going to end up turning into points. It doesn't necessarily make a ton of sense, but that's how it works out. Is keep your group strong and you keep your opponent's groups weak, that'll eventually turn into points. And so when we look at this, this group is already plenty strong without that stone there. And these two stones aren't very, very strong right now. So I would like to see something in here if we're going to ignore this. Okay, so that's why I'm saying playing something like this and then seeing if we can get away with this. I think this would have been a good sequence to really reduce what white has going on over here. This just gives white the timing to go harass this a little more. I think he handled this fine. I think this is a fine response, and I think this is a fine response as well. But missing the timing, right? This is now we really see how powerful K16 is here, right? Because we can stay ahead here, and he still can't connect up to his L17 stone, so he needs to jump out one more time. And we play here, and he correctly jumps out one more time. But at this point, he's out ahead, right? He's ahead of both J12 and L16. This group should be safe now. He can connect up to some friends here. He can still run here. He can press on the weaknesses of this group to get strength. There's lots of options for this group, which is why I decided my attack was done here, right? I found my profit. My profit was getting my strength here, so that when I played this, I'm potentially cashing in on points. And this is how we use weakness and strength to turn into points, right? We were able to press on the weakness of this group to get this wall, and now we've got some big potential here, but it can still be greatly reduced. But then unfortunately black took one more move. He was not sure if the group was strong enough. But it's important to note in this situation, if this group is already weak and can already be attacked, I'm going to attack it right now, right? Your opponent's going to go attack it. If your opponent doesn't attack it, that's them kind of telling you, hey, I don't think your group is weak enough to attack right now. And so if that's the case, then you can go, okay, he says it's strong enough. It's strong enough, right? So I would have liked to have seen something different. If we were going to play a move here, this Hane is really big, right? If we feel like we need to play another local move over here, I think this is the one. This is just a single purpose move. All this does is connect up. So then we take our peep, and then we go block here, and then this fight is basically the beginning of the end, right? Because if this doesn't work, then white's getting all of these outside stones for free, which is what ended up happening. I don't think there was really much that black could do. I do think I messed up later. I was looking at it after I'd played a move, so we can jump ahead to where we had the Liberty race that I was talking about when we played here when I played away. I do think we're in a little bit of trouble if black plays here. I do wonder what happens if black plays here. Potentially after he takes this cut and forces us to connect. If instead of playing that, he played this, that might get a little hairy. So I think I got ahead of myself. I do think I probably should have just taken this, knowing well that as long as this dies, that this game is over. But it's still not a blowout, right? Because this was my area to begin with, and if black is able to play something like this is a really big area too, right? It's not as big as white's area on the left, but it's big. And black has this corner and then a little bit on the side here. This is still very much a close game, especially considering the disparity between our strengths here, right? This is one of my students, so it's expected that I'm going to win this game. So I still think things are fine. One of the things that that he does tend to do a lot, and this was a situation, right? Like, it does feel like white's ahead here, but he'll play some desperation moves, right? This feels like a desperation move. And, instead of just doing the simple reductions, like playing something like this and just, doing reductions a little more naturally, right? And so playing this, if we block here and then black connects here, it's like, yeah, this is a big area, but this is going to be a large area too. But if you play something like this and it doesn't work, the game's just over. But I am happy to see him play this, because one of the things that I've been having him work on for a while is situations like this, right? Where if he backs off, if you go and start a fight, right, and you lose the fight and you lose the game, why. You're like, I lost that fight and I lost the game because of it. But if you don't go pick those fights, right, and you play all the passive moves and you back down and you back down, what ends up happening is you get to the end of the game and you get to counting and you lose, right? And then you go, they were just mistakes, but you never come back to those mistakes where just like you were backing off instead of taking the fights that you should have taken. So you can lose games that way too, but you don't really realize that's why you lost the game. So here it's pretty easy to see. Yeah, you lost because you invaded and the invasion doesn't work. But I'm still happy to have seen him try this, especially knowing that he's going to be fighting against me. Anyway, so yeah, the rest of the game kind of falls apart. Once white wins this fight, it's pretty much over. And this isn't how it went, right? He played here and let me come in, which is ended up losing a real lot because of this. And so yeah, so once this got captured, especially with him needing to answer this, it just kind of fell apart. But yeah, the middle game is always a difficult part of the game for everybody, right? That's really where our games are won and lost. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this little rendition of Bus Rides. I know that this game was a little more complicated, a little tougher to follow, but hopefully you still enjoyed it. So thank you guys for coming out for another ride in the Struggle Bus, where every wheel's in a triangle. Have a good one, guys.